Okay, so let's have a look at the past paper for suspense accounts, 2018 question 7, and it's P5. So before we start, just a couple of steps that you use while answering the suspense question. So step number 1 is from the question, identify the accounts needed to answer the question. Step number 2, identify the type of account that it is, whether it's an income, expense, an asset, or liability. So we know to increase an income, we credit. To increase an expense, it's a debit. To increase an asset, it's a debit. And to increase a liability, it's a credit. And it's the opposite then to decrease. So to decrease your income, it's on the debit side. Decrease your expenses on the credit side. Decrease in assets on the credit side. And decrease the liabilities on the debit side. And that's your step number 3. Step number 4 then is complete the T accounts under headings. What did happen, what should happen, and how to fix it. And then a note for yourself then, the debit and credit side must equal. If they don't, then you need to create a suspense account. So the first adjustment in the 2018 question is a car lift purchase on credit for 4,000 has been entered on the incorrect side of the creditor's account, and the only entry made was on the debit of 400 to the purchase account. So first of all, have a look and see what type of business it is. So these are a garage owner. So if a garage owner buys a car lift, well, they're going to have that for a long time. So it's going to be an asset. So it's going to be equipment. Where if they bought something like cars, it would be a purchase because they're going to resell it on. So with our steps we have here, it's identify the accounts that you need to answer the question. So car lift purchase on credit for 400. So you're going to, what should have happened, you need is your equipment and your creditors account. That's what should have happened. The type of account is going to be, so if we look at our T accounts here, it's going to be your equipment and your creditors. So your equipment is an asset, so we're going to stick it on the debit side. And your creditors is a liability, so you're going to put it on the credit side. So what should have happened is in your equipment account should be 4,000 on the debit side, and your creditors account should be 400 on the creditor's side. What did happen then? So car lift was purchased on credit for 400. It's been entered on the incorrect side of the creditor's account. So we're going to the creditor's account. And the only other entry made is in the debit side of the purchase account. So we're going to need the incorrect side of the creditor side. That's on debit of 4,000. And then the only entry made was debit 400 on the purchase. So in the purchase account, they put 400. So your debit and credit sides have to equal, so these don't. So we could create an expense account of 4,400. So that's what did happen. As I said, what should have happened, we identified our two accounts that we need. We identified the type of the account, whether it's an asset or liability, and it's going up and down. So how do we fix it then? So we got our creditors here. So we fix this creditors of what did happen to get rid of that one. So we're going to debit or credit our creditors down to 400. And then we're going to put in this 400 that should have happened, which is going to be correct. So then we need to credit our creditors account of 800. Our purchase account then, so to cancel it off, so we have 400 on the debit side. So to fix it then, to cancel it, because we don't need it, we're going to put 400 on the credit side of the purchase account. In our suspense then, so our suspense, we've got credit of 4,400. So to correct that, we're going to debit 4,400. We're going to cancel off the suspense. And then our equipment then, we need to put our equipment in on the equipment account on the debit side. So we're going to put it in debit our equipment at 4,000. Your journal then will look something like this. So you have your creditors credit 8,000, your purchase credit 400, suspense debit 4,400, your equipment debit 4,000. So we know our 4,000 or 8,400 on the debit side and 8,400 on the credit side. Put in a little narration. I'd always say being the correction of would be the way I'd start off the narration, and then just take something from the question itself. So being the correction of purchase of car lift incorrectly, or incorrectly treating purchase of car lift, something like that. Okay, so let's have a look at the second adjustment, or the second suspense question. So D5's private car valued at 10,000 was presented to the business for resale. So anything that's presented to business is going to be capital, and it's presented for business for resale, so it's going to be a purchase from the business point of view. So no entry was made in the books regarding this transaction. So what we're going to have for this one is you're going to need a capital account. So your capital account is a liability. So you're going to increase your liability. So it goes on the credit side. And your purchases then is an expense. So that's going to go on the debit side. So the car itself was 10,000. So nothing happened. So what should have happened, we should have debit our capital by 10,000. And we should have credit our capital by 10,000 and debit our purchases by 10,000. That's what should happen. So how do we fix it? Just going to put it in. Exactly the same. So credit your capital 10,000 and then debit your purchases 10,000. What happens next then? The car was later sold on credit to a debtor, to a business for 10,000. So if we sell on credit, so we're going to need sales and we're going to need a debtor. So the sales is an income, so it goes on the credit side. So your sales down here is an income. It's going to go on the credit side. And over here, your debtors is going to be an asset, so to increase it, you're going to put it on the debit side. This sale has been treated as a cash sale. So this is what did happen. So what did happen is we had creditor sales 10,000 and cash is an asset, so we increased our asset by 10,000. Shouldn't have been a cash sale, should have been a credit sale, which we've got here. So how do we fix it? So our debtors need to be debit by 10,000. Our sales is correct because we had sales and we put it in the credit side, so we're not going to do anything with that. And then our cash then, so it shouldn't be cash, so we need to get rid of that. So to decrease it, then we're going to put it on the credit side. So cash then is going to be credit 10,000. So your journal then will look capital, credit 10,000, purchases 10,000 debit side, your debtors debit 10,000 and credit your cash sales to get rid of it or to decrease it on the credit side. So we've got 20,000 debit side, 20,000 credit side, so notes below. So being the correction of capital introduced and the recording of a credit sale treated as a cash sale. So just taking something from the question itself and the start of the narration says being the correction of. Okay, let's have a look at the third one. So D5 returned a motor car previously purchased on credit from a supplier for 12,000 and entered this transaction in the relevant ledger accounts incorrectly as 1,200. So for that then, you're going to need your purchase returns in your creditors account. So they put it in as 1,200. So if we have our purchase returns in the relevant account, 1,200, what did happen, and 1,200 on the debit side of the creditors account. So purchase returns is always on the credit side. So remember, it's an expense. So your expense for purchases is usually on the debit side. We want to decrease that. So put it on the credit side for 1,200. The creditors then usually will be on the credit side. If you're increasing it, to decrease it then you stick it on the debtor side, on the debit side. So a credit note was arrived from the supplier showing a restocking charge of 200. So we're not going to get the full returns for this because the company is going to charge us for putting this back up on the shelves. So instead of getting 1,200 or 12,000, we're going to get 11,800 to cover the cost of the return. The only entry made in respect of this credit note was the credit entry of 11,800 in the creditors account. So we have to go to the creditors account. It's going to be 11,800 on the credit side because that's what we're getting back. So instead of getting 12,000, we're only going to get 11,800. If we add up the debits and credit sides here, they're not equal. So we need to create a expense account. It's going to be 11,800 in the suspense account. What should have happened, we should credit our purchase returns of 11,800 and debit our creditors with 11,800. So we should have got 12,000, but the restocking charge reduced that down. So the purchase return is only going to be 11,800 for both sides. So how do we fix it then? So in our purchase returns account, we already have 1,200. So we should have 11,800. So we're going to reduce. So we're going to take 11,800, take away the 1,200, see how much we need to add to the debit side to make it 11,800. So we need to add 10,600 to the credit side. Now we see we need, in our credit account, we need 11,800. We have 1,200 already on the debit side. We have 11,800 on the credit side. We threw their calculation, but what I usually do is I skip down to the suspense. So we got 11,800 in the suspense. So we put 11,800 on the credit side to cancel it off. What we need to put on the creditors then are these two figures added together, because your debits and credits must equal. So we need to put on our creditors on the credit side 22,100. Your journal then will look something like this: purchase returns credit 10,600, suspense credit 11,800, and creditors then for 22,100. So that means your debits and your credits equal, and your narration then being the correction of purchase return and restocking charge treated incorrectly.